want to thank everybody for joining me today. My name is Wesley Boudreau, one of the financial advisors here with the Retirement Group. Today we're going to go over Social Security planning and talk a little bit about ConocoPhillips employees and some of the issues to be aware of right now here for the start of 2021. For those of you who do not know who the Retirement Group is, we are an independent financial advisory firm that focuses on helping corporate employees transition into retirement. We've been doing this for about 30 years or so. We've got offices throughout the country, so rest assured if you need to meet face-to-face, we can still do that. But obviously we can also do web meetings and phone calls to answer any of your questions as well. One of those companies we do a lot of work with is ConocoPhillips. So if you have any questions on the plans, and obviously with some of the changes and also the pension rates changing right now, just give us a call. We can go through all that with you. In order to reach us, you can call us at 1-800-900-5867. We'll be happy to go over that. Before I jump into Social Security planning, just a quick update on the ConocoPhillips pension plan. We're currently right now, first quarter of 2021, seeing the lowest interest rates we've ever seen in the history of the plan, which for those of you who are not on the cash balance plan, but one of the legacy plans, that's generating some of the highest lump sums you may ever see in your career. So if you are in the realm of retirement in the next year or two, it's definitely advantageous to give us a call to run a cash flow analysis to see where you stand and make sure that you pick the right quarter to leave so you maximize that. We'll find out here shortly about the third week or so of January once the government updates the rates for December to show us what the second quarter rates will be for ConocoPhillips. And we'll probably see a slight uptick, which could be a slight drop in your pension plan, but we'll put together another webinar on that shortly. But again, any questions on it, call us at 1-800-900-5867. So getting into Social Security, when's the best time to claim Social Security? There's really no right answer because there's so many different variables for somebody who's single. If you are looking at somebody who's married, then it just increases that factor as well. But generally speaking, you can take Social Security as early as age 62 or defer it all the way up until age 70. But most of the individuals we're talking to, you're going to be looking at your full retirement age of somewhere around 66 or so, maybe as high as 67. If you take it early, there's going to be a reduction, but you'll have more years of income. If you take it later, there'll be some growth in it, but less years of income. So it's very important to run a break-even analysis, and we can run that full Social Security analysis for you if you want to see what your different options are. Now, unfortunately, if you can tell me you're going to pass away, I can tell you exactly the best time to do it, but we don't know that. We have to go on, what your longevity options are, what your spending habits are, and what you're trying to achieve. So let's dig into some of the different breakdowns of that. So what should you consider when it comes time for claiming Social Security? Well, your full retirement age and the benefits calculation, obviously, we need to take a look at, and we can help you run that if you don't know where to get it from the Social Security website. And the amount of your future benefits if you and the effect of either early retirement or early commencement of Social Security or delayed retirement. Then how long do you expect that to last? Obviously, that focuses on life expectancy and longevity we just mentioned, and whether you plan on continuing working. There's definitely some different tax factors if you're still working and trying to collect Social Security, especially if you're collecting it early or the year you're fully eligible for full retirement. Then there's other sources of income, how that can affect things, and then obviously income taxes. There's different tax strategies and different tax rates associated with Social Security, and obviously those things can change over time, so it's something to be aware of. And then if you're married, how's your spouse going to be affected with your selection, and what's the right claiming strategy between the two of you? So let's take a look at those ages. As I mentioned before, the full retirement age is 66 or all the way up to 67. So depending upon when you were born. If you're 66 already, which means you were born in 1954 or earlier, 66 is your full retirement age. Each subsequent year after that, they've bumped it up about, excuse me, about 2 months. Sorry, about 2 months. So you'll see at 1955 date of birth, you're looking at 66 and 2 months, then 66 and 4, 6, 8, 10, and eventually at 1960 and later, you're looking at age 67. Now, a lot of people are concerned about what are the different options for Social Security and making sure that they maintain it. We'll talk a little bit about that, but ultimately speaking, one of those things could be individuals like myself extending that age, the retirement age, beyond 67, maybe 68, 70, or something like that as well. So just because your full retirement age is 66 doesn't necessarily mean that that's when you have to take it. But as far as calculating your benefits and making sure you are eligible, what they do is they look at the highest 35 years of your earnings. Now, obviously, not all of us are going to have 35 years of earnings, but you need 40 quarters, so 10 years, to run that calculation. So again, like I said before, we can walk you through that or run an estimate for you as well to show you what those options are and show you how your income changes can affect it, depending if you're capped out or not. Now, as far as taking it early, we mentioned that, let's say in this example, somebody's age 66 is full retirement age. And if you're going to take it early, you're going to get a reduction each year you take it, all the way up to about 25 to 30% reduction if you take it as early as age 62. So take a look at this chart here. Somebody that's age 66, let's assume their full retirement age benefit's going to be $1,800 per month. Now, if they decide to take it early, they're losing over $100 each year they take it early. If they decide to take it as early as age 62, they're only getting $1,350. So, $450 difference. Now, what that means is that's that much less they're going to get for the rest of their lives, where they live to 80 or 100 years old. However, they're going to have those extra couple years of that income, which could offset that. So that's why you have to look at what the break-even analysis is as far as how long do you have to live to financially recoup that, in which case full retirement age or deferring is going to be better. On the flip side, if you want to look at claiming benefits later and deferring them, this is one of the only places where we can tell you that the retirement group or any advisor is not going to be able to guarantee you an 8% rate of return or 8% increase, but you're going to get an 8% bump in income for each year you wait beyond your full retirement age. So if you're 66 or 67, you got a couple more years. If you don't need that money, or you have other sources, or if you're still working, you can defer that a little bit more and get a bump up of 8%. So in this case, the 66-year-old we were talking about went from $1,800 up to $2,376. So again, a pretty sizable bump. Now again, the difference is we look at all that side by side. That $1,800 was the age 66, the 62 is $1,350, and then the age 70 is $2,376. So you're going to get a higher amount at that $2,376 for the rest of your life. But what happens is you have to live long enough in order to recoup what you would have missed out on if you took it at 66 or took it at 62, had all those years of income early. So in this case, the cumulative benefit from age 62 to 70 is $129,600. So we have to go in there and factor, okay, how many years do you have to live in order to recoup that extra $129,600 on top of that difference between the $2,376 and the $1,350, so that $1,000 difference. Generally speaking, for most individuals, that break even comes out in your early 80s, anywhere between 81, 82, 83 or so. So a lot of times that's the financial side of it. We can run a full a full analysis as well as a cash flow analysis if you need it for the retirement picture. But it will show you what that best claiming strategy is for not just yourself, but you and your spouse if you're married, just simply based upon longevity. So we may come out and say, it might be more beneficial to defer until age 70, as long as you think you're going to make it past 83 or later. That's the financial side. Emotionally, you might say, well, I don't care about age 83 or beyond, so I want more money now versus later, and I want more flexibility and more enjoyment off of it. So we'll go through all those different discussions on a one-on-one basis after we run that Social Security analysis for you. Now, as far as Social Security and how long will I actually have Social Security? Like we mentioned, it all depends upon longevity. Every person is going to be different as far as their family history. Unfortunately, I've got a lot of heart disease in my family, so I don't know about my longevity compared to medical advancements, obviously. But most individuals, about 1 in 3 retirees, will make it to age 90, and 1 in 7 will actually make it to age 95. So again, for a lot of you, deferring could be a financial benefit in the later years. So again, it's something to review. Now, what about working? If you're still working, how's that going to affect your Social Security benefits? Now, it's going to have a negative effect on them if you are at full retirement age or younger, and there's not going to be an effect afterwards. So if you are actually still working, you decide to, let's say you're 63 years old and you decide to start collecting Social Security at 62, we'd probably have a conversation about not doing that. But what would happen is if you are collecting Social Security, $1 is withheld from every $2 of earnings that you make over about $18,000. So for most individuals, that could be hit. If you go and retire and take a part-time job, maybe you're okay there. Now, if you look at the year you actually turn full retirement age, so let's say 66 or 66 and a portion or 67, it's going to be a little bit different and a little bit more lenient. It's $1 withheld for every $3 of earnings. that actually exceed $48,000 or so. So a little bit hard to hit, but it is still in effect. But once you're full retirement age, doesn't have any bearing or any effect on your Social Security. You can go out there and be 68 years old collecting Social Security and making $1 million. You're still going to get that benefit as it stands now. Obviously, there's some concerns about means testing and things like that in the future. That could be something that would help with Social Security. Now, as far as some Social Security changes we saw in 2020, we'll see some more here in 2021. We had a lower cost of living adjustment, a 1.6% bump instead of the 2.8% we saw in 2019. The bigger one, though, is actually an increase in Medicare Part B premiums, depending upon your tax bracket. For most of you, if you were in that 24% tax bracket or so, you saw a bump. So if we look at this chart here, if we look at, let's say, a married couple filing jointly, if you're making over about $174,000 AGI, there was about a $57 per month bump in your premiums, and it goes on down the list. So the more you make, the more that bump was on those Medicare Part B premiums, and that again is something that we could see continue to change down the road. Now, what about taxation of your Social Security? It's not always tax-free. In some cases, it is. Do work with a few people that have just lived so well within their means that they really don't need any money. They're typically just using their retirement to pass along to their beneficiaries. And based upon getting their tax bracket down, they're actually not having any taxes on their Social Security. We've run some different scenarios where if they were to look at some Roth conversions and different tax planning strategies, where if we do that, it then bumps up their Social Security, so it does become taxable. So in some cases, you would be careful if you are not, if you have low income, there could be some double taxation options where having more income would increase both your tax bracket and create taxability for your Social Security. Most people, though, they're going to see anywhere from 50% to 85% tax on their Social Security, depending upon the thresholds. So let's talk about that 50% tax. If you've got total income between 25 and 34,000 as an individual, you're looking at 50% tax. If it's over $34,000, you're looking at 85% of the Social Security being taxable. For a married couple, that's between 32 and 44 to get that 50% taxable. And then after $44,000 of total income, this includes Social Security, you're going to be looking at 85% taxation on it. So if you have a question on that or need to run it, let us know. At the retirement group, we do run tax reviews every year with our clients to look at benefits and ways to minimize taxes. Now, so let's talk about if you're married. If you have a spouse, depending upon where they worked or not, there may be different claiming strategies associated with that. So the retirement benefits, even if they did not work, your spouse will get spousal benefits, and what they are is going to be half of what your actual Social Security benefits are, based upon the ages that you guys are. So if we were to look at let's say you and your spouse were born on the same day, so you got the same birthday. If you decide to take your Social Security at age 66 or 67, whenever your full retirement age is, and then your spouse was going to claim spousal benefits, then we'd be looking at her or him getting exactly 50% of what your benefit is. Now, if you take it earlier, there's a reduction in your benefits. If he or she takes it earlier, there's a reduction in their benefits as well. So again, this entire strategy can be run in the Social Security analysis to determine what the best claiming strategy would be for you. In some cases, it could be deferring some of those benefits, and we'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. So another option is, God forbid something happens to you, there are survivor benefits. So what happens is, generally speaking, your spouse will step into the larger benefit. So let's assume that you had $2,000 a month Social Security benefit, and maybe your spouse had $1,200 a month. If you were to pass away, then he or she would jump into that $2,000 a month. So the total household income is going to go, or Social Security income is going to go from $3,200 down to $2,000. So there is a benefit there. And depending upon the age, it could be claimed as early as age 60, but again, with some further reductions there. Now, we talked about spouses and claiming options. We're seeing this kind of go away now just because the age group of individuals is getting older. But if your full retirement age is 66, meaning you were born in 54 or earlier, or really 53 or earlier, there is an option to do a restricted application, which allows you to collect spousal benefits and hold off on your actual Social Security, and then later collect your benefits, so you can get a bump in those earnings over time. So a quick example would be, let's assume this couple at age 66, Diane begins to collect retirement benefits based on her own record. Let's assume that it doesn't matter if she had a lower or higher income in this case, but the assumption is she had a lower income. But let's assume at age 66, Mike files a restricted application for spousal benefits. So what he's doing is he's filing his application, but he's restricting payment of those of the Social Security benefits. And instead, he's saying, I'm going to elect my 50% spousal benefit off of Diane. So they do that for a couple years. And then at age 70, Mike will start to collect his larger retirement benefit based upon his own record due to the delayed retirement. So in that case, what he's doing, instead of just simply delaying until age 70 and not getting anything, for those next 4 years or so, he's going to be getting the spousal benefit. And then they're able to kick in that age 70. So they've got Diane off of her full retirement age 66, and then Mike's going to be on his increased retirement age 70. So it will maximize their benefits. So again, if you're around 66, 67 already, and you haven't started Social Security, give us a call. We can run through a claiming strategy with that as well. So to kind of somewhat wrap things up, before I go into there, some of the questions a lot of people have right now is Social Security safe? How long will Social Security last? For most people on this call, you're probably in better shape than what myself was going to be, because I've got more years ahead of me. So some of the things that they can look at, as I mentioned before, is increasing the retirement age, maybe pushing it off till 68, 70 or something like that for individuals that are younger. They've done the last couple of years, and they continue to do it, raise the income cap that they tax you on. Right now, not all of your income is hit with the Social Security tax. There is a cap there. And so if they start to increase that, then they can collect more taxes. The other one that could be a concern is if they decide to institute means testing, in which case they take a look at what income you have from other sources and determine that maybe you're in a higher income bracket and you don't need the Social Security quite as much. My assumption is those will be pretty high figures, so it's going to be hard pressed for most individuals to be affected by that. So that's another thing that kind of goes into, do I take it earlier or take it later? Are you bird in the hand versus two in the bush? Do I want to capture that income or not? So some of the basic choices we always run into, if you want to claim it earlier, maybe you need the Social Security income right away. Let's face it, if you don't have enough retirement sources and you need the money, then you need the money. Then obviously you're going to look at taking it sooner rather than later. If maybe you want to invest those monthly benefits, maybe you don't need them, you want to invest them to grow for your retirement benefits down the road. Maybe you want to delay having to take funds from other retirement vehicles. Maybe you want to continue to grow your 401k or IRA or Roth IRA or other assets and just live off of Social Security and keep those taxes down for those first couple of years. And then also maybe your spouse wants to delay claiming benefits as well when we get into that spousal benefit strategy as well. So the reason to actually claim it later is going to be obviously if you want higher monthly income during retirement, that's the no-brainer. Again, where you get that 8% bump after full retirement age for each year you defer. Then maybe you want to maximize your survivor income. Maybe it's not necessarily about you, but it's about your spouse. Maybe there's an age gap between you and your spouse. You want to make sure that he or she's going to step into a larger amount when you assumably pass away prior to them. And maybe you're still working or plan to work longer. Obviously, you don't want to reduce your benefits, and you don't want to increase the taxes on them as well. And then, as we mentioned before, maybe you're able to file the spousal benefit with the restricts, the file and suspend option as well. So with that, I want to kind of wrap it up. As again, I mentioned, as far as ConocoPhillips employees right now, in addition to just simply the Social Security webinar and running a Social Security analysis, give us a call if you have any questions on the actual your situation right now, especially if you're within a few years of retirement, because depending upon which pension plan you're in, there's a lot of different changes happening right now and how it's going to affect your actual pension to make sure you maximize those benefits from ConocoPhillips. Then obviously, we've seen this price fluctuations in the stock as well, and that may or may not be affecting your 401k. So be careful about trading that, because there are some NUA options within the 401k, which are some great tax saving strategies to look at. There's also after-tax Roth options to look at as well for many people. So if you haven't reviewed that 401k in a while, give us a call on that as well. But again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. And again, you can reach the retirement group at 1-800-900-5867. Thank you and have a great day and stay safe.